Welcome to Tech Talk, y'all.
Hello, and welcome to Tech Talk, y'all. Episode 380, a production of Edgewise.Media. I'm Sanjay Parekh.
And I'm Adam Walker, back from the great beyond. So
you just keep wandering around and missing out.
Well,
on
last week I had to move my daughter home from college, so I grabbed a U-Haul and I drove it 250 miles one way, and then I loaded up in the heat, and then drove it 250 miles back, and then I unloaded, and it was a nice 14-hour exhausting day. But I had a sidekick little buddy with me in the front seat, so that worked out pretty good.
That sounds like fun or not.
No,
really.
Not fun at all. No, but I did discover that I'm a good truck driver. So, in case you're wondering. Yeah.
Oh, so this was one of those big truck looking things.
Yeah, it was a big U-Haul. Like it wasn't small. It was a big one. Yeah, I like to drive the big ones, like even when I don't need them. Just
I've never driven one of those things.
Listen, there's still time. There's still time.
You can't move fast in those, right? Like they don't go
I hit probably 75 in them. I mean, it was trucking. I was doing great. It was great. Yeah.
You got to make sure the roll down door is down though, because that's a disaster if you don't roll that thing down.
That's true. Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about some disasters. I think we got a few in here, right? Maybe not the first one. I'm not sure.
I don't think this one's a disaster.
Yeah. I mean, it is Microsoft, which to me is a disaster. But other than that, sorry. Microsoft goes passwordless by default on new accounts. And so I was curious about this, right? So the article said they're doing passkeys, they're doing password hardware,
right?
And then it also talked about like how passkeys have a 96% success rate and passwords have a 32%, which I feel like that 32%'s got to be wrong, because it's probably just like, oh, I mistyped, let me type it again, right? So that's probably not totally accurate. But I guess my question is, like, why not do the email thing like we're doing with TogetherLetters? Like, to me, that is as or more secure anyway. So why not do that?
Yeah, I mean, it relies on the user having a secure email account.
Right.
Because otherwise, once your email account is compromised, then everything's compromised at the same time. So it's a single point of failure pretty much.
Right. Okay.
The other thing, so there's two things that I thought of as reading this article. One, if you're going to do this and as a user, I think passkeys are pretty good.
Yeah.
You don't want to honestly save them on your browser, because the minute you do that, if you lose that machine or you lose that browser, which, those things can happen.
Pretty easy to do. Yeah.
Maybe not immediately. Yeah. Then you can't log in anymore. So it is very, very important to use a password manager to save passkeys like this. Right. Bitwarden, as both of us know, supports passkeys. You can save them in your Bitwarden. Mm-hmm. That way you only have to actually have one passkey, and on any device you can log in. Because if you do it the old way, the way that they kind of are doing it right now, you have to then figure out a way to log in on your laptop and create a passkey there. And then you've got to go do it on a desktop and passkey there.
Yeah,
you got to do it on your phone and do a passkey there.
Yeah.
And that's just a lot. The other thing that I noticed in this article, which is very perplexing to me, is that they talk about how Microsoft has 15 billion accounts that are now enabled for passkeys. There's 8 billion people on the planet.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. That was my, so, I mean, I guess it makes sense that one person might have multiple accounts, possibly.
That many?
Yeah, it feels like there's a lot of scammers out there. I think they need more Microsoft accounts, obviously. Like that's,
because not all 8 billion are on the internet, first of all, even, or have Microsoft accounts.
I mean, a small percentage of them, I think, really.
Yeah. So maybe 3 billion are online.
Yeah.
And maybe half of those, 1.5 billion, let's say.
Yeah, it feels like they've got a data problem somewhere in there.
Every user has like 10 I know I don't have 10 Microsoft accounts.
At least you hope you don't. I mean, really.
I have one.
Yeah. I think I've got one. Just one.
Yeah.
Just one. Seems right. Yeah.
Anyways.
Anyway. All right. Well.
Moving on to some AI news. Anthropic lets users connect more apps to Claude. I think this is an awesome thing because I actually do use Claude.
Yeah, it's opening up.
You can actually now hook it into things like Cloudflare and Atlassian Bitbucket and things like that. So you can actually now start having it ask questions or know things about you and give you advice based on all of the things that you're doing. So for like somebody that's a developer, like, hey, why does this website of mine not work? It could then reach into Cloudflare and figure out why maybe you don't have the settings right there, or into your software and, these things are conflicting across these things. Because, sometimes some of those insidious problems that are really hard to fix are because there's like problems in multiple places.
Right.
And it's like, well, I fixed it in one place and it's still not working. And so, Claude will now maybe be able to help you do that. So
yeah,
I think this is neat.
I feel like we're only a handful of years away from like you sort of pick your AI engine, whatever, if it's Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever. And then you just basically tie it into literally everything, everything. And then it really kind of does become your own personal, like Iron Man Jarvis sort of deal. Like we're not far from that at all.
And then it becomes sentient, and then it knows how to kill you. So you're good.
Yeah, but you can still run it in a marathon, at least for the moment, per last week's conversation.
Right. So, or you could just spill some oil on the ground. And
that works for humans trying to kill you too. In case you didn't know. Yeah. Like
why do you think I've got like just cans of oil everywhere in the house?
I carry a can of oil with me everywhere I go. It gets awkward, taking it to the baseball game, but they're like, whatever,
He's quirky.
So.
He likes to have his oil can with
speaking
him.
of quirky, Arizona laptop farmer. Yeah, I said that correctly. Arizona laptop farmer pleads guilty to funneling $17 million to Kim Jong-un. So apparently somebody set up a laptop farm, like tons and tons of laptops for people from other countries to tunnel in through. So they had US-based IP addresses, and could then do criminal things and steal money and whatever else. And I didn't quite catch the Kim Jong-un part. I read it.
So first of all, here's, of course, I chuckle when I read these stories because they're trying to circumvent the technology
what you created. It's all your fault. Yeah, of course.
It's basically, this is related back to me and my fault.
Right.
100%.
Right.
I'm very sorry. But basically what these guys were doing was they were using programmers in North Korea to take jobs, remote work jobs in these companies and get paid for that work. And those checks were showing up to this person's house. They were cashing them and then laundering the money back to North Korea. And so they kept like $17 million for themselves. And I think it was like 80 or $88 million went back to North Korea. And some of that money was spent on obviously weapon technology. And stuff that was, I mean, even if it wasn't, you're not allowed to do this. This is not
like, how does the management for that work? Like how, because you need to talk to a programmer from time to time, like, hey, you wrote this wrong. This is how it should function. If you can't, like, how are they? I mean, they did obviously over $100 million worth of work somehow. Like,
so they had video AI like generation. And so for real time discussion with people, they used hundreds of people's social security numbers, for, the stuff to get charged to and whatever. Here's a little side thing that I learned. I actually have not mentioned this on Tech Talk, y'all, but apparently there is a way, and I did it. There is a way to go into the Social Security Administration and freeze your Social Security number from being used by anybody to sign up for a job or anything else like that. So you've probably already done this for your credit card and for your credit info with Equifax, Experience, and TransUnion.
Yes, yeah.
You can also do this with the Social Security Administration to prevent anybody from using your Social Security number for something nefarious like this.
Interesting.
So it's free to do. And then you can just like the credit unions, you can unfreeze that number anytime you want to. So if you're applying for a new job, you can unfreeze it so that they can, verify you as a person, as a citizen, and then, you move on from there. So that's what this person did. Why they didn't think they were going to get caught, I don't understand, but criminals are not always the smartest.
I mean, but they were smart enough to like set up this huge infrastructure and bring it and like set up fake AI. Like it's wild to me how incredibly intelligent criminals are and incredibly stupid at the
right. If you use this effort for a legitimate enterprise, okay, maybe you won't make $17 million. but you might make a tenth of that.
Yeah.
Even if it was a fifth, whatever, a 20th of that. Yeah.
Still better off. You're still better off than going to jail. Yeah. All day long.
There's never the downside of going to jail.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Where you can't spend the money that you made.
Yeah. That's right.
I feel like that's a better outcome, but maybe that's not just me.
Yeah. It's just you.
But speaking about things that are not better outcomes, Apple failed to open App Store to competition, judge rules. So this is related back to the Epic story.
Yeah.
And they didn't do it right. And opening up payment systems to other providers.
Yep.
They didn't do it kind of all the way. And so now they are getting slapped. And there's potentially a criminal complaint, if I remember correctly.
I couldn't read it because there's one of your stupid paywalled Bloomberg articles that I couldn't read. So I wouldn't know because you read these fancy pantsy paywalled off articles that I can't. But
I don't have a subscription to Bloomberg. But
here's what I want. Okay, I want on my iPhone to be able to buy a Kindle ebook in the Amazon app. That's what I want. And you can't. I don't know if you know that as an Android user.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because of the way Apple's payment processing goes, if you buy anything digital, Apple gets a cut, a big cut. So Amazon just has a thing like not available for purchase on this app, and you can like tap and then go into a web browser and then just buy it right there in the web browser. And so it's like super annoying and dumb and ridiculous.
I think the same thing is now true on Android as well, actually.
I believe it. I just
think
hate
there's
it.
the same kind of cut. And so we don't generally buy Kindle books. We usually just check them out through Libby nowadays. And
I don't have the patience for that with there are certain books where it's like that wait list is too long. I'm buying this sucker. I got to read the sequel right now. So it's urgent. I got to have it now. So
I think my list of books that I want to borrow is so deep that it doesn't matter because it's just like, well, I'm busy right now anyway, so it is what it is.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Next up for me, router maker TP-Link faces U.S. criminal antitrust investigation. I think this was paywalled too. So what's happening? I'm in the dark here. What's going on here? I'm too poor to have these fancy subscricriptions you got. So.
I sent you a screenshot of one of these articles so you could read them.
I'm not reading your stinking screenshot.
What do you mean? It's the same thing as a browser at that.
Listen,
just open it up in your browser.
Just
pretend like it's a browser
you want to
page.
steal somebody. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. What's this about?
It was a screenshot. It's totally legit.
Yeah, it's totally legit. Yep.
So TP-Link, which has been doing some things and concerning around antitrust, they've been dumping products to keep the prices low, I think is what it was. But also, I think there's a concern about the manufacture of these items and how there might be malware and things like that. TP-Link is a Chinese company. And so there has been this ongoing issue, I think, with all things like that. Personally, I think I've made this recommendation on this podcast before. If you're looking for a prosumer networking gear company, Ubiquity is the one I would go with. It's the one that I have gone with.
Yeah.
Their stuff is not cheap, but it is really good and lasts a long time.
Yeah.
So
it's a way. Speaking of things that don't last a long time, Sanjay.
Confirmed. NASA warns International Space Station is in critical condition with no contingency plan. I actually added a sub article underneath this.
Yep.
Researchers warn of ozone risk with deorbited Starlink satellites. So first, let's talk about the ISS. I didn't know it was 470 tons. I know it was big, but did not realize it was that big.
Yeah.
But apparently this thing is creaking along. It has been leaking oxygen in some of the modules that have now been shut off to the rest of the space station. They need to send up like ships up there to keep it pushed up into orbit so that it doesn't fall into the earth. But the plan is to actually bring it down
in
2030 or 2031, I think it is.
Yeah.
So not that long from now, 5 to 6 years.
I think, I feel like this is one of those situations where I would have to bet, and this is going to be controversial.
Yeah.
That the main people building the International Space Station were American, because I feel like that's American building it's like, 20 years old. It's time to crash it into the Pacific and build another one. That's our style. Like, let's build a huge sports stadium and let it sit for 30 years. And then let's tear the whole thing down and build a whole nother one right there. Like, that's the methodology. So,
I mean, you're not wrong, but the oxygen leaking is actually happening in the Russian sections of the ISS. So
what I heard you say is not that. I did not. I choose to believe my own reality. Okay. Well,
but by the way, the second article that I kind of
the ozone.
Researchers warn of this ozone risk. So apparently, satellites just burning up in the atmosphere is not just the safest thing either. It really messes up with the ozone.
You remember back in was it like the 90s, and it was like, don't use aerosol hairspray cans. It'll kill the ozone.
Yeah.
Like, what I want to know is how many aerosol hairspray cans would we need to use to equal the amount of space trash that's just coming into the ozone all the time? Like, that's what I want to, because I'm guessing it's in the billions of cans would need to be used to equal that amount of data. I'm just guessing. Right. I don't know.
Yeah. So we probably shouldn't do that, because that banning of aerosol and CFCs really did repair the ozone layer. If you look at the maps that happened over time and how big the ozone layer hole was.
Right.
I mean, I think it was larger than Antarctica at one point. It has repaired itself and has closed up that hole, which is good for all of us, because that hole being gone means higher rates of skin cancer and all kinds of other bad things.
But it means, I don't know. I was going to say something, but it wasn't
puffy
funny.
hair.
Never mind. Yeah. It means,
80s hairstyles.
Yeah. I like some 80s hairstyles. I would just like some kind of hair at all, but my hair is, it is.
In the 80s, did you do a lot of women did the boof,
No. I had the super, I had a spike. I had the spiky hair in the 80s.
Spike.
Yeah. I had a spike in the 80s. Yeah.
So you did have to have a lot of hairspray.
I mean, I define a lot, like half a bottle is a lot. I don't know, whatever. Nah, not half a bottle. Not half a bottle. All right.
So your weekly usage was like 3.5 cans.
I mean, a can a week. I guess probably can a week. No, not a week. I had the pump sprays. What it was? I had the pump sprays. It was the.
I don't know that I believe you, because you knew too much about the aerosol can. I feel like 80% of that ozone hole was because of you.
It's because of my spike. My
spike. Yeah.
Man, I haven't thought about that haircut in so long. It was a good haircut.
I might need to see a picture of this.
I don't know if I own a picture. I'll have to see if my dad.
I'm going to be texting your mom and asking her about a picture.
Yeah, you should do that. Yeah,
she's very willing to give me.
Yeah, that's probably true. They'll mom or dad will both write me out for that. All right, next, I think it's my turn. I'm going to go for it. Spain will take, quote, all necessary measures, end quote, to prevent another blackout, says PM. That's not project manager. I assume that's prime minister.
Prime minister, yeah.
I also don't know what this was about, because this was also on Bloomberg. You really love some Bloomberg, man.
What are you talking about? This was on Bloomberg as well?
I think so, yeah.
This was on the BBC, dude.
Oh, okay. Then I just didn't read it. Sorry. I just missed it. I totally missed it. I'm sorry.
Well, in case you missed it, like Adam, all of Spain and Portugal this week lost power. Like all of it. The entire country. Now, this is kind of a problem.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
Here's why it's a problem.
Okay.
Power generation facilities, utilities, they obviously generate power in these power plants.
Right.
But if they're starting from nothing, they need some power to start generating the power.
Oh man, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When there is no power, that's a problem.
Oh man.
So you got to have a generator to start the thing that's generating all the power.
Oh my gosh.
To get everything going. Because otherwise what you got to do is you got to get a bunch of people out there running around in a circle trying to get that turbine moving. That doesn't really work that well. Here's the second problem.
Yeah.
If you've got all the power off, so you know that we use alternating current power, right?
Right.
So we've got this cycle
I'm
of
glad
power.
you know that I know that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. It's not DC like a battery. Yeah. It's AC.
That'd be ridiculous, right?
So AC has a frequency that it goes with. Now, you can't just add in some other power source onto the power line that doesn't have its power generating at the same frequency and same phase as all the rest of the network. So if you start up power in two different parts of a network and they're out of phase, they will cancel out or they will cause a big catastrophe when they meet in the middle.
I was hoping you were going to say explosion. All right, go ahead. Yeah.
It could be an explosion. It could catch things on fire for sure. So when you've got something like this, it's called a black start. You've got to basically start at one place and then over time keep adding on generation so that you end up covering the entire grid over time because the whole thing was shut off. I think
the Black Start is also like a really cool band name or like some kind of like 100%. Super secret project name would be good for that. Yeah.
Well, that's actually the name of all my projects.
Yeah. The Black Start. Okay.
The Black Start. Yeah. Here's the other thing that happened in also Spain and Portugal. Cell phones didn't work. Internet didn't work.
Yeah.
Lights didn't work.
Yeah.
You couldn't buy things because all the point of sale systems didn't work. Everything was off.
Here's what I want to know. Okay. What percentage of people thought it was an EMP strike and started prepping for like end of the world? Like, I mean, I'm kind of serious though, right? Because like if that happened here and like literally I'm somehow aware that like there's literally nowhere I can go that there's power, I'm going to kind of assume we're under attack. Like that's going to be my first assumption.
So very funny thing. I talked to a friend recently who lives in Portugal.
Yeah.
And he actually said that at first he thought, Russia's attacking.
We're being invaded. Yeah.
And then he was like, after 20 minutes, he was like, I wasn't dead. So I figured it was okay.
That's the threshold. If he lives for the first 20 minutes, it's probably not a war. His assumption is if he's being attacked in the first 20 minutes, dude is dead, gone. He's just gone.
Dude's going to be done. But I guess
that's a pretty pessimistic worldview, man. I mean, like, I feel like I could last for days for at least, right?
Have you seen the weapons they use nowadays? Like, no, I don't. No, I think it's pretty quick. I think you also go outside and you don't hear anything. You're like blowing up, and you're like,
it's probably okay.
Somebody must have just tripped over the plug.
Yeah. The country's plug.
The country's plug. Yeah. Somebody else that's tripping over stuff, but maybe not. Maybe they've tripped into something good. The $20,000 American-made electric pickup with no paint, no stereo, and no touchscreen. And a couple of other kind of sub-stories underneath this. Bezos, that's Jeff Bezos, backed Slate Auto unveils affordable EV truck. And also, less is more. Slate brings back HVAC knobs, crank windows, and a screenless dash. So I don't know about you. I actually went and I kind of trolled around their website and stuff for Slate Auto.
Okay.
Because I was like, what is, I want to see what this thing does.
Yeah.
If you actually go into the configurator, you can actually configure the car to have electric windows and not just a crank window.
Okay.
Although I kind of don't know if I would mind having crank windows in that.
I straight love this, man. I would buy this. I would buy this base model. What's crazy to me is not like there's not a stereo. There's a holder for like a portable. No, there's a holder for your phone. Then there's a holder for like a portable sound bar or like a portable whatever speaker. And so you can take your portable Bluetooth speaker.
That's an add-on
and pop it in. But like I kind of love it. I mean, like it's and isn't there a configuration where you can turn it into an SUV as well?
Yeah. So obviously that's more, but basically they add some structure in the back of it and it can be a 5-seater SUV.
Yeah.
It can be a bunch of things. It's a very
I love the no paint. Like it doesn't scratch easy. Like I read that and I was like, wait, that makes so much more freaking sense than these stupid cars with these stupid paint jobs that you have to keep up with all the time. And why? We have better materials than this. Why do we do this?
Yeah. And this one, you can actually get a DIY or a professionally installed kit of I don't know what you call that. Those
like a wrap
stickers.
It's
wraps.
A wrap. Yeah.
Yeah. Wrap.
Yeah.
So if you don't want that slate gray color, you can actually get the car wrapped in whatever you want, whatever color you want that they make. Or even custom designs.
Yeah.
And then there you go. There's your vehicle at that point.
So cool. Like I'm all for it, man. Did it say when they're launching?
So here's the rub. They're not going to be available until 2026. The base model here has, I think, 150-mile range. If you go into the configurator, I think you can get the extended battery pack that gets you up to like 200 or 200 and change miles.
Dude, that's amazing.
On this thing.
Yeah.
But right now you can actually put down a $50 refundable deposit to be able to buy one of these. through the configurator, it's not clear how much the vehicle costs if you're doing anything beyond the base model.
Right.
They don't give you a price, but you can go through that and kind of see what all the options are. And it's pretty configurable. It's pretty impressive. And
it looks
even the
cool.
base model, I showed my son and he was like, wow, $20,000. He was like, I'd buy that. Like 20 grand is a great deal.
Yeah, great deal. On an EV, oh my gosh, it's unreal. Like, and I've been waiting for somebody to do this. Like, this is fantastic. And honestly, like the nose screen is almost my favorite because like we have Apple CarPlay and everything, but my phone does all of that. Like it's fine. My phone is fine. You know, like I don't need the other stuff. And so, yeah, it's kind of great. So
yeah, I have this is what I suspect. That base model is going to sell like hotcakes to people that are in construction.
Oh yeah.
Because if you think about it, those vehicles sit on a construction job site all day long.
All day long.
So if you have a power plug there, that vehicle can just sit and charge.
And you never pay for gas. You never pay for electricity for it. Nothing. Somebody else pay for all that, baby.
Right. Exactly.
That's the way, dude.
And it's big enough to get materials inside of it.
Yep.
Like, and it's cheap enough that you're at that point, you can be like, okay, for almost all of your employees, you could probably buy them one of these.
I mean, and if you think about it from like a monthly payment perspective, if you take gas out of the equation, that is the car payment. I mean, literally, like it's a wash. It's a wash. Like it's almost like you don't even have a car payment. You know, like I mean, if you assume finance is over a certain amount of time, but you get the point. So there you go.
Yeah,
all right,
especially at that price point. Yeah.
Last up before Weird and Wacky, Meta is turning its Ray-Bans into a surveillance machine for AI, and our buddy Mickey is going to love this. So,
so they very quietly changed the privacy policy. And now it's listening all the time. And recording.
Well, no. It's not listening all the time. So you can still turn that off. You can still turn off the listening all the time. But
you can turn it off. You can turn off the Hey Meta, whatever it is.
So that it's not auto listening all the time. But if you have Hey Meta on, where it is listening for that keyword, then it's also using the video to train its AI as well, right? So it's I don't like that. But I mean, in all fairness, like. I mean, in our buddy Mickey that has these, I mean, he immediately turned off the Hey Meta because it saves a ton of battery life. And all you have to do to interact with it is just touch the thing or tap it or squeeze a button or whatever. So why not? Like, it's a dumb feature to have it listening all the time. Anyway, but I don't love this. I
wonder how many people that have this actually have that turned on though. It's got to be enough that they were like, let's
maybe. I'm assuming it's a small percentage just because the battery life is so different. If you turn that off, like you get a lot more battery out of it by turning that off. So I don't know.
But even a small number would probably give them so much data.
A lot of data.
It's just like what Tesla did in the early days with their vehicles where they sucked down all the video out of the cars to train their kind of driving stuff, which clearly has not worked.
Yeah, not worked.
Time for the Weird and Wacky segment.
Abominable Snowman.
He's not an axe murderer.
One of the TAs turned out to be a bot. First up in Weird and Wacky, we've got, we've only got one in Weird and Wacky, and this is pretty weird.
First and
I would
last.
say. Man buys World War I shipwreck for $400 on Facebook Marketplace, because that's apparently where you go to buy those things.
So I didn't know you could own a shipwreck. Number one,
apparently in the UK you can. I don't think you can do that here in the US.
That's cool.
Maybe I don't know.
I like it. I'm here for it. I didn't know you could sell it on Facebook Marketplace. You can find all kinds of crazy stuff on Facebook Marketplace. Who knows? You know, I think that's kind of the point. All right, that's
What do you do with a shipwreck exactly?
I mean, I think you enjoy diving down to it. Yeah. Oh, sorry. It sounded like I was going to say something else. That was actually the end of that was the whole statement. What I want to know, Sanjay, is what's the last thing that you bought off of Facebook Marketplace? That's what I want to know.
The last thing I bought was also the first thing I bought, which is nothing because I've never bought anything on Facebook.
Oh man. Okay. All right. That's cool.
Yeah. What about you?
I have for sure. I know my wife has bought things off of there, and I've had to go pick them up because she was afraid of getting murdered, and she would prefer that we both get murdered. So,
I thought she was just sending you by yourself. Okay.
That might have happened. I don't remember.
She preferred you getting murdered over her getting murdered.
I think she feels like it's less likelihood. I apparently, Sanjay, I don't know if you knew this. I apparently can intimidate people, and who I did not know this. Yeah, I didn't know this about myself. Apparently I can be terrifying. So
is it the hat?
I think I do have a particular look that I can give sometimes when how it is, like when you're walking in locations and maybe like they're larger, like Las Vegas is a great example of this. Like when you're walking down the street in Las Vegas and there's all these like swindlers that'll like try to like come buy my CD or whatever, like that kind of situation. You just kind of put on this face and they tend to not bother me. And that works out. So maybe I wear that face more often than I think. I don't know. I honestly don't remember the last thing. We bought several things off of there. Maybe a dresser is maybe the last thing we bought off of there, like a used dresser. What
I seriously thought you were going to start saying is that, you just walk around and start like punching the air and yelling at things that don't exist and things like that.
No. I do that at home so the kids don't talk to me. That's what I do. That's the method. Yeah. So I'll be like in the kitchen and then I'll hear a kid come in and I'll start just arguing myself and getting real angry. And they're like, whoa, I better back off. So that's how that works. So
don't need to get involved with that.
Of course, that's not true. Nobody, believe that.
Tech wreck. Time to get your tech wreck.
Tech wreck. Chicky.
Tech wreck. Time to get your tech wreck.
All right, Sanjay, it's tech wreck time. What do you have for us this week?
I've got a recommendation for a Firefox and Chrome extension that I used to take a screenshot of an article that you didn't read.
Okay. Yeah. Appreciate that.
It's called Awesome Screenshot. So I know Firefox has take a screenshot thing built in, but Awesome Screenshot has so many more features beyond that.
Okay.
It does some really, really neat stuff. And for certain web pages that maybe Firefox doesn't work well with, Awesome Screenshot does a great job. It'll scroll pages. It'll do all those kinds of things, but they also have screen recording in there too. And on the free version of the account that you can get with them, you can actually, I think it's like 20 videos or something like that you can store, and you can record yourself talking, of course, very much like Loom, except your picture isn't in there. So it doesn't overlay like your video,
right?
But it'll show your browser and you can kind of annotate kind of what you're doing and then share that with other folks. So if you need some good extension to do screenshots, if you feel like the one that you've got right now is lacking, Awesome Screenshot is a great enhancer for that. And
nice.
I would just use both of them, the native one that you've got whenever you need to use that, and then use Awesome Screenshot whenever that one doesn't work for you. So
awesome.
Yeah. What about you, Adam? What do you got for us this week?
I've got the official bullet journal edition too. So I've decided to go back to bullet journaling, just kind of keeping track of this month, what's going on, what are my priority tasks for the month, this week, what are my priority tasks, and kind of a quick daily log of what I'm working on. And so the edition 2 added some nice features for you bullet journal nerds, like myself, of course. I'm a comrade here. And it's kind of nice. So it's just got like lots of little features that are kind of great. So it's great quality.
So you got to make
paper.
sure that you don't put it on top of your weapon folder, because then those two together will like explode.
Yeah, I mean, it can't go near your weapon folder. Or your AK desk. Like that's also, you don't want to near your AK desk. That's a bad idea. Yeah.
Incompatible.
Yeah.
And
it's a different type. You need a different type of bullet journal for the AK desk.
I see. Okay. So that's how they get you. Cause you got to buy the whole thing that works together.
Yeah. Also, like you also got your sniper lighting and,
see,
I'm trying to think of other good, your 9mm teleprompter can't be,
no,
I'm just going to make up crap now.
What about Bazooka flooring? Is there a specific one that you got to get for that, or does any of it work?
No, Bazooka flooring actually works with everything. Like it's the best flooring I've ever seen. So.
Yeah, I mean, actually, you should probably be chewing Bazooka Joe gum, right, while you're using your bullet journal.
I haven't thought of Bazooka gum in a hot minute. I think the last time I thought of Bazooka gum, I had a spike haircut in the 80s. I think that's about the right time for Bazooka gum. So, all right.
Do they even make that? I'm sure they still make it. I've not seen it in decades.
Somewhere. So they do still make the, did you ever try to have the big league chew gum? You know, it was like the shredded gum.
Yeah,
they do still make that. I've seen that in the last 10 years for sure. I've not eaten it in the last 10 years.
Unfortunate.
All right, Sanjay, how can our listeners find and connect with you?
They can find me chewing Bazooka gum while I'm typing on my website, sanjaypark.com. What about you?
You can find me with Big League Chew, just a big old wad of that right in my Cheek? I don't know. I'm going to stop talking. AdamJWalker.com.
I don't want to watch videos of you chewing that.
Nobody does.
Dun, dun, dun.